particular case I wanted to have as much retraction as possible, so I'm using floss, ligatures. There is the thinnest matrix, so this is probably the hardest part. You've got to make sure that the matrix actually fits with the rubber dam. It's partly workflow. In this case I'm doing basically an entire quadrant of composite resin. With frenectomy like this, I want to reposition rather than actually remove it. So what I've done here is I've positioned them carefully, put a bit of flowable inside one, and then I'm going to go back and do one at a time. That's just acting as a spacer. Notice this, we're flossing the distal of the molar that the clamp is on. So we put it down behind the bow, and then we can actually floss that rubber dam down behind the distal tooth so that it doesn't end up with a gap there. So in this case, I leave a little tiny bit of tissue around the implants or around the abutments, because if we remove this bit, it'll be very difficult to get tissue back up to this height again. You can see I've seated the crown there. I've used just the base, so I don't use catalyst, just the curing agent. And now I'm using just a 12 scalpel to remove some of that interproximal cement. You don't want this first suture to be too tight, because if you make it too tight, it just pulls the graft past the surgical bed. So it will get tension when we do the one on the other end.